Gloria in excelsis Deo. Welcome, everyone.
Gloria in excelsis Deo. Hello, beautiful people. This is the Stream of Truth. I'm Dr. Tassel Faith Shamebrook,
And I'm Sean Kelly.
and we're so glad you're here with us. We are continuing in our series on union with your twin flame, divine union, divine partnership. And today is part 3. And I don't know how long this could go. Maybe there's 10 parts to this. My experience is there's just so much to learn here. It's very fertile ground for your awakening, for your expansion, for learning how to have peace and harmony with your partner and with everyone. So there's just so much to talk about.
Yeah, and then because the relationship with a partner like this is going to mirror everything, pretty much any topic can fall under it, like any type of learning as well. Like you're going to struggle with money stuff, then you're going to struggle with job stuff, family stuff, geographical stuff, whatever else, right? So then there's all the spiritual or existential crises that come up, and then judgment of each other, and there's just basically everything that's kind of possible really between two people is going to come up probably, unless you've already dealt with it yourself, then it's not going to come up. So yeah, we could basically take this concept and talk about pretty much anything, and it will be somehow relevant to that pathway. I think.
Yes, what you said was so true. I hadn't totally thought about it in the way you just described it. Yeah, just the relationship hits everything. Everything you may not you may not have wanted to deal with or see in yourself, or oh, look at this fear is coming up. Fun. I'm really there's that one.
And it certainly
Yes.
has it has a lot of great aspects too. So I noticed like a lot of what we tend to focus on are some of the like harder stuff. The reason that we focus on that isn't because it's all hard. It's because that, like, at least for me as teacher, like the reason that I'm trying to focus on some of these things that are more challenging is because these are the areas that are challenging. So these are the areas that are worth discussing. The pleasant aspects are great, and they are what they are. There's not much to talk about with those other than, yeah, they're great. So I don't want people to get the wrong impression, or make it or have these feel like they're negative or something. They're not meant to be that way. It's just that the way that we see to help is to talk about the things that are hard, because to talk about all the great things, that might seem a little bit like we're like,
Look how great we are.
yeah,
Or
like,
something.
yeah, if I were to
Like
say, to other people, I'm enlightened, the world is peace, you one day when you're ready, you'll see the world as I do, these types of things, then they're kind of like, ugh, like, so it's sort of like that as well, that like we're trying to, one of the groups of people that we're trying to serve, I think, are people that are in a relationship that they feel this type of connection with, and that these like concepts sort of resonate with. And those people that are struggling are the ones that are looking for answers to some of the things that we were talking about. So that's why we kind of focus a bit on the negative, I guess, is what I wanted to say that, because I've been going through our videos, and it, some of it can be a little deep, like it's pretty deep, it's kind of in the ocean, and
I'm really
yeah.
I'm really glad you brought up that point. And what comes to me is the phrase divine union medicine. That on this journey, we are taking in this sacred medicine of divine union teachings. And medicine sometimes can be a little bit bitter to swallow, but it ultimately can serve us. So even though we may, quote unquote, be talking about I would say uncomfortable things. I wouldn't use the term negative. For me, I would just say these are uncomfortable things.
Right.
And it's challenging and painful and uncomfortable to move through these things, but ultimately it is serving you so much. So it's this beautiful divine union medicine that is serving us. And I like your point too, that maybe in the final part of this series, whenever that happens, maybe we could just do all the really comfortable aspects of the divine union to sort of, even it out a bit. And it's interesting because last night I was Zooming with a dear friend of mine, and I was just saying how amazing you are and how life-changing knowing you has been, and how grateful I am. And she was just hanging on my every word. She was just like, oh my gosh, she was showing me something that sometimes I forget, that the journey is amazing. It's a privilege to be on the journey. She saw it as magical, and Tassel, you're changing so much, you're growing so much, you're so in love. She was just really in awe of what I was describing. And it was a very nice reminder of, yes, all of the amazing, purely comfortable aspects of the journey.
Yeah. Comfortable is a better word for sure. When I said negative, I was referring sort of to like some people's perceptions of what we're saying, right? Like,
yeah, of course,
their perception might be that we're speaking kind of negatively, and to a degree, we are speaking of some of the challenging things, and some of the things that are, like Tassel said, uncomfortable. But there's a lot of things that are very comfortable. And then there are a lot of things that we expand in ourselves that change us. And we can quickly forget what we used to be, I think, too. Once we kind of step into more wholeness, we quickly kind of normalize to that state, and then we yearn for more wholeness. So, like on that awakening journey. So we constantly feel not whole enough as we're kind of ascending up. And that's sort of what draws us into the ascension. And so we have to actually look at these uncomfortable things, because it's these uncomfortable things that cause us. So if like some of the videos you've been watching, you're like, I wish they would kind of be a little more positive or something. That's an indicator that there's some resistance to some of the concepts that are being thrown around, and that's okay. But it's just something to notice that like those things are going to come back up. We can like avoid the lessons and stuff as much as we want. But they just kind of keep recurring. So that's why it's so important to talk about them.
Totally. Sorry, I didn't mean to.
No, that's okay. That's okay.
The image I get is pulling thorns out of our body, like the shadow, the fears, the unprocessed, uncomfortable emotions. I'm just thinking of these as like thorns in our being. And when we pull them out, it's uncomfortable and kind of painful. But once they're out and there's been some healing and integration, that feels so much better.
Yeah. So, it's kind of like we've got thorns all over our bodies. Yeah. And if we just stay still and don't touch them, yes, we feel okay, right? Like, we feel fine, pretty much okay. But we also can tell that we're held back or restrained from moving in the direction we want to.
Yes. And we have to kind of like, constrain ourselves in how we move around so as not to like unsettle and upset all of these thorns. And we're in this like box of beingness. And
when we feel like, a lot of my life, I felt like I'm walking on eggshells with people, with my communication. Yes. This is basically sort of an indicator that I have a bunch of wounds that I don't really want to be seeing in others. Like, for example, if I say something that I think others may find hard to hear, right? I don't really want to deal with conflict with them or upset them. I'd rather them just be comfortable, things like this, because I don't want to be able, like, there's a part of me that wants to avoid the state of their discomfort, right? For them.
Yes.
Um,
Yes.
and so this is sort of an indicator that I'm kind of choosing how to be based on what others want to see me as. And we
Yes.
really have to learn to let go of the idea that we should be how others want us to be.
Yes.
A good way to think about it is one of the points that we're going to talk about is about privileging spirit. Basically prioritizing the relationship with spirit, which is better seen sort of to me as the relationship with yourself. And what that means, I think, is that we don't need to other people don't need to determine our emotional state. Other people don't need to determine how we feel about ourselves or how we feel about what we're doing. We don't we can privilege ourselves to set the state and be as we wish to be, and then we can essentially listen to others, but what they say doesn't have to draw us into this conflict with ourselves over what I'm doing and all these other things. If, for example, if I had if I was letting everyone in my world tell me how to be, I'm essentially a slave, more or less, right? I'm essentially a slave to their wants and needs and desires, and I'm not really being my authentic self, right? I'm just being whatever I think they want me to be. That in itself is exhausting and it can't be kept up, because you'll eventually disappoint them, and they'll tell you that, and that will kind of strengthen this feeling that you need to do it better to then eventually make you go, I don't know how to do that anymore. And that's sort of a really crucial point, I think, because we don't realize like that my state is mine, and like other external things don't have to influence me the way that I've been letting them do so. It doesn't seem reasonable to us when we're in those states, or when we are experiencing a lot of stimuli from other people and getting upset. It doesn't seem possible that wouldn't be a thing. That seems kind of weird, or it can also seem detached. But that's not necessarily the case. So it just appears that way. You can actually be very attached to people while not being attached to their opinion about you, and realizing that their emotion is just their opinion, basically. And it ends up being this learning vehicle for your own self-expression and your own weirdness, I guess. Your own authentic being will just keep calling to come out. And you'll start to feel safer and safer to do this with your partner. And then your partner is going to probably resist some of that because you're probably resisting some of it yourself as well. So there's a huge dynamic there also. I'm not sure why I got all into that, but it felt relevant for some reason.
So I just want to make one quick point that was piggybacking off of one of your points, and then maybe we can just go into the next sort of learning. I think you said something like it's easy to sort of forget where we were and all of the amazing gifts and shifts that have happened. And I'm just thinking about in the divine partnership. And so I think it's also just really important to like have gratitude constantly towards the relationship, even though it's still expanding you and it still can be challenging, but just a constant orientation of gratitude towards your partner, towards yourself, towards the relationship, no matter what maybe possible uncomfortable thing might be coming up in that moment. So to me, to hold all of that, I feel so much of our invitation in these incarnations is to hold. How much can you hold? How much can you hold? Can you hold gratitude for your partner while you're going through something painful with them? Can you? Can you hold that? God obviously holds everything. So all of this is our invitation. How godlike can you be? Can you hold more than you thought
Yep.
at the same time?
And the more you turn to the positive perspective of what's occurring. So, you know, like if Tassel were to just do something bananas and freak out and call me a bunch of names, let's say, I'm just making something up. Let's say she did that. She does that basically every day. No. But if she were to do something like that, am I able to like not let that sway me basically out of my peace, and into a place of gratitude for just seeing anything that I can feel grateful for seeing here about myself, right? That's what she's showing me. She doesn't mean what she's saying. Like, so it doesn't need, like, the partner doesn't mean what they're saying when they're lashing out, really. They're just lashing out because they're hurt. They're feeling hurt. So they're lashing out. So, they don't really know what they're saying. They don't necessarily know the depth of what they're saying. And they can be basically let off the hook for that. And then it just becomes a question of like, how long do we wait before we let them off the hook? It becomes kind of obvious that we don't have to blame them at all. We don't have to blame the partner for anything that they seem to have done. Whether it's directly, obviously trying to attack me with words or whatever it is, or not. I'm not threatenable by that. My peace isn't disturbed or swayed by what people say to me. And that is or what people do around me or what's happening in the world. Like, this is sort of that's where enlightenment lays, is in the realm of being unswayed by emotion. Emotion comes, but it doesn't sway us to be some other way than peaceful. And what ends up occurring is, as we start to constantly say no to the guilt, like, I'm going to blame them and put the guilt on them and judge them. Whether we say anything or not, energetically we're doing that, and it comes back to us. Like, we feel bad when we're doing that. It feels bad. We feel hurt by them, but it's because we're judging us, not them. We're judging us here, and we think we're judging them, but we're not. And so we're hurting ourselves. That's why judgment, that's why when they are doing this, it feels bad. It's not what they're saying that feels bad. It's our judgment of ourselves that feels bad. And we will get all sort of confused by that, and we'll blame them until eventually we go, oh, I remember, I get it. I'm just kind of seeing myself. And yes, they acted nuts. I'm sure they're probably going to apologize because that was wacky. Whatever it is. And even if not, whatever it is, it's, I don't have to hear the unconscious aspect of my partner. So that part of my partner that has fallen asleep, forgotten itself, and starts to attack me, I don't need to listen to that. I don't need to hear that, really. I can see that for what it is, which is just falsity. It's not true. So their feelings are not true. And this is what it sort of means when, like, we're not our feelings. Feelings are like our opinions, and so they are true as in they're like real. They came up, but they're meant to guide us to alignment. And alignment is a state of non-judgment, basically. When we're not judging what is right now, that's when we're in alignment. When we're okay with what is now, and we feel good to move forward because we're okay with what is now. We feel safe. And if we can persist in that, that is the enlightened mind. So in order to have that, we'll set situations up with our partner where, they are doing things that we find really challenging, really, really challenging. And there'll be things that trigger directly our childhood traumas, whatever, old past life stuff. random stuff that's just as deep as possible for us. And we have to try to remember not to blame them. Yeah. And I think you actually mentioned that, and right before we went on live, you mentioned not blaming your partner. I don't know if you want to talk about your perspective on that now.
Okay,
I know
yeah, sure.
we're jumping around. Who cares at this point?
There's so much, there's
Yeah,
just
it's
so much
who
richness in
cares?
this. Yeah, this was a huge learning. I felt my higher self was really focusing on yesterday, is basically what you just said, is that um it's very, very easy, very human, very understandable when something really painful happens in the relationship, and or when there is an expansion that is somewhat being invited for you to go on. um, it can feel like, oh, look what my partner is doing. Look what my partner is bringing to me. Look at what they're forcing me to deal with or to possibly expand on. And my understanding is it's not your partner, sweetie. It's this is your path. This is life. This is spirit. This is your higher self leading you on your journey towards your soul's expansion. And the underlying template of the universe is expansion. It is expansion.
Hmm.
And that's what we are constantly being invited to do in our own lives. So it's this really interesting, almost paradox, right? Of accept your partner, accept yourself, love your partner, love yourself. And then we are also pretty much continually being invited to expand through the relationship. Um, and so I know, Sean, you and I have had conversations of like, why can't we just accept things the way they are? And why can't we just accept each other the way we are? We can. And to me, acceptance means I'm all in with you. To me, that's acceptance. Acceptance is I am here. I do accept you. I show up every day. I am here. I have not left. Acceptance to me is my presence, my love, my loyalty, my commitment. That is to me my acceptance. Um, will we be invited to expand somewhat continually through the relationship? I believe so. That seems to be the case. And that seems to be the case on an individual basis as well. So, yeah, my understanding of all of this is, and this actually goes right into point number 4, allow the relationship to be your guide. The relationship is your vehicle. The relationship is the car that you are in that is bringing you to new territories of your expansion and your consciousness. And Sean, you texted me yesterday this beautiful message about being a humble student. Would it be okay if I shared that?
Yeah, I don't remember what I said. Yeah, sure.
Okay. You wrote to me, I am here for whatever I am to learn as humble student. I trust that I am guided true. Thank you for teaching me. And I was so just taken by, to me, the wisdom and humility of this message that I immediately texted the same thing back to you. I said, I feel the same. And then I repeated it back to you that I am here for whatever I am to learn as humble student. I trust that I am guided true. Thank you for teaching me. And this has been, to me, one of the biggest learnings and initiations in this divine union is possibly every single thing that I thought I knew about anything.
Excuse me,
bless
sorry.
you.
I couldn't mute it in time.
Bless you. Possibly anything and everything I thought I knew as human tassel, I may just have to throw out the window. Everything I thought I might have known about relationship, about life, about money, about everything. I must be born anew in this divine union. I must be born anew. And I absolutely see the relationship as my guide. Where is the relationship showing me my stuff? Where is the relationship asking me to accept, to expand? And the way you wrote it, like I trust, what was it exactly?
I trust that I'm guided
I
true.
trust that I'm guided true. So
Yep.
this is a leap of faith, right? It's a leap of faith that I'm being guided true. And I'm making that leap every day. And every day I'm just choosing to believe that the relationship is guiding me true. What else can we do? We go with the flow of our life. We go with the flow. We don't resist. What is in my life right now? What is life showing me?
Yeah, and I'll tell you too that if your partner's giving you stuff that you're not able to handle and you like dismiss them from your life, let's say, that's fine. You could do that, but you will simply just be delaying the opportunities for the lessons. And if you feel that you have to do that, then by all means, do it. You know, you have to. I think part of this point is to prioritize your relationship with your spirit and your guidance. I think is where we were about to go with this. Is that right, Tassel?
That's the next point.
Oh, that's the next one.
Yeah,
This is the
it's fine.
relationship is the guide.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the guide. So the relationship. The way that I'd like to just highlight that is like So I don't mean to skip points or whatever. I don't know what's going on, but the relationship is the guide.
Okay.
Sort of like the relationship's the map, right? And you can take whatever pathway you want in things in the world. The relationship is a reflection, an echo of the energy you're holding. And so the guide, the one that guides you, has to be yourself in how to then engage with what's going on here. From, you're probably wanting to hold peace. You're probably not wanting conflict. And a lot of times we're presuming that other people's conflict that they bring to us is somehow our responsibility and also our, thing to fix, and that they shouldn't do that, and all these other things. And to some degree that is true, right? To some degree that's true. But on another level, if we can just accept that that's what they are and that's what they're doing now, we won't find those moments uncomfortable at all. And so basically the partner will end up doing things to trigger really deep wounds. And then that is where the guide is. That's like or you've reached a place sort of on the map, right? And then you have to go within and try to source from your own guidance and your own being. How do I navigate this? And the way, and then we need to be able to discern between, what is the ego and then what is our guidance as well. And a lot of people have a lot of challenge with that. And a lot of people will say a lot of very egoic things and then say, Spirit guided me. And yes, Spirit did guide them, but you can feel some of the ego as well in what they've said. And so you, like I think I told Tassel, I saw a guy that was channeling Yeshua, and in the channeling, Yeshua was talking about how good this guy is and how you should buy his course. And so in the channeling itself, it's like, we have been working with David, or whatever his name was. We've been working with him, and we have created this course for you, and you should enroll in it. Sort of like, it's for all light workers who are ready to, change the world. And it's, I'm sure his course is great. Like, he seems like a fairly connected individual, but he also seems to have a very, like, there's a part of him that's desperate for attention or for money, whatever it is. And you just feel that coming out, and he's claiming to channel, and parts of what he channels probably is channeled. So you can feel the distortion in that. Like, Jesus is not going to come tell people to take some man's course. That's not going to happen. Like, the Holy Spirit is not going to come in and say, buy my product, like, or buy my disciples product, or however they frame that it's not going to do that. So it's obvious that there's distortion there, and we do that inside. And the reason I'm using that as an example, not to shame him, I highly doubt he will ever see this. I barely know him, but if if he can do that to that degree while channeling, right, we can really easily do that too inside of ourselves. We have our egoic passenger, then we have the Holy Spirit, or the Christed presence, the divine inside of us. And the divine doesn't try to out battle the ego. The ego yells, like the ego is very loud and and tantrumy. The divine is subtle and peaceful, and so and not fearful ever. So we have to learn how to discern between that in ourselves while just looking at whatever the relationship's showing us. And so that's sort of what that is. It's showing us the path, and then we have to seek within to figure out, like, what do I actually now do here? And a lot of times, it's funny, there's nothing to do. There's nothing to do. So for example, if your partner feels like they're judging you a lot and you just want them to accept you, let them judge. Let them. What's there to do? Let them be as they are.
Yes. So
what are you going to do about it? You're going to
talking to a lot of twin flames who are currently in separation. I've been just talking to a lot of different people through Facebook, and it seems like a lot of people end up in separation because of the discomfort in the relationship, in the interactions. And Sean, you and I had a 3-month separation last year, which I think was partly because of discomfort around things that were coming up in the relationship. And so, and there were other reasons too. So the invitation here is to become more comfortable with discomfort.
yeah. Like I said, if someone's judging you, so what? That's the truth. So what? It's hard. It's hard for me. I've struggled with this for forever. So, but I'm saying that, that's sort of what I realized was let them, like, we often really want to do something because we're so uncomfortable. But the way to quickly release it is just to let them be. Like, yes, okay, remember, I am talking to a divine being who's having their own thing, and they are as they are, and if I don't like it, it's my problem. Now, contextually, we want to, of course, consider that there are situations where, like, we may want to remove ourselves from, that challenge our safety or make us really traumatized or feel really toxic to us. But what I'm trying to get at is when something feels really toxic to you, it's because there's a threat there and it feels draining and it feels problematic for you. And if you were just okay with how they are, you wouldn't feel toxicity from them. You would just see a soul looking for help. That's what you would see. And so in our partners, we have to try to foster that type of view. And judgment for me was the hardest thing. I feel like judgment and acceptance, which is just the opposite, right, of judgment, is the hardest thing for me with the people that are closest to me. If I feel like I'm being judged by people that are closest to me, I have trouble with that. I think most people do. And it's a process to realize that they are entitled to judge if they wish to. If they wish to create disharmony in themselves over what you're doing, they can do so. And the issue, I think, becomes that they don't know what they're doing to themselves. So it becomes two things that are hard when you're observing judgment from another. You know that they're going to cause themselves suffering, so they're hurting themselves. You don't want that. but you also know that you want to be accepted. You'd prefer to be accepted. So you're kind of two layers to your hurt now, because you're seeing their own confusion in the judgment. So when you're watching your partner be what seems judgmental, let them, let them.
Yeah, and I feel like what you're talking about kind of connects to part of what I think is really foundational about allow the relationship to be your guide, is that the relationship is its own separate entity apart from you and your partner. It's like a third being, and the relationship is seeking harmony. There's that phrase, harmonious, twin flame union, basically. So to me, it's quite complicated. It's we of course want to be at peace in ourselves, no matter what is happening. At the same time, we have a third entity here, the relationship is seeking peace. And so there's going to be some give and take. There's going to be some harmonizing. There's going to be some shifting for two different people to be in harmony. And to me, at least, I think maybe people can end up feeling judged. I honor that. But to me, there is some talking about how to harmonize with each other, how to create this third entity that's apart from each one of us, where we may be called to shift a bit, to expand a bit than maybe we normally would just on our own. So again, let the relationship be the guide. Where are you possibly being invited to expand in order to harmonize with your person?
Yeah. Yeah. And the thing that I think gets confusing is that I think we think that we have to tell the other person what to do or how we want them to change. And that is I think the core challenge of it. Whether they see an expansion or they don't is up to them. So we can basically inform them of whatever we're feeling if we want to. We can share our preferences and stuff. But it's getting to a very, like, for me anyways, I'm very sensitive to energies, and I don't like to hear criticisms really about me, about what I'm doing and how I talk or whatever it is. It's not that I feel hurt by the criticism itself. It's that I know that the criticism is like not accepting me. That's why the criticism's there. So I'm unable to like look away from that. And a lot of times when we're trying to get someone to look at themselves, like we're saying, basically, the relationship's out of balance here because there's a conflict of some kind. And then I tell Tassel, hey, I think you should look at this in yourself. That's basically what I'm doing when I'm telling them my criticisms of them. I'm basically saying, don't you think you could expand here? And don't you think you could be better here? Because I see that this is a place that you could improve in. And I think that we can hear what our partner says like that and just basically hear if there is any wisdom in what they're saying and just let them judge, because it is, if they're not like, if they're bringing a solution, if they're bringing like expansive behaviors, if they're talking about optimistic outcomes and positive things, The way that I see it is sort of like this. We're all creating in each moment, we're all children creating our little picture, drawing a little picture of like flowers and whatever. We're always doing that. We're all creating something every moment of our experience. What happens is we share that moment with another, and we're like, look at this moment I've made. And so it's like a child bringing a drawing that they've drawn all wacky to their parent or something. The parent isn't going to go, oh, that sun is blue, you made a blue sun, that's wrong. You that person only has one arm, what are you doing? You're not going to point out all their flaw in their creation. What you're going to do is say, look at how many colors you've used, this is beautiful, I love how much passion you have for drawing, or I love how excited you are about drawing. Even if you don't find the picture stimulating, you're going to say, it's amazing, thank you so much, if you're like trying to be helpful with that individual. So there is certainly value in noticing when we're uncomfortable around something. So when our partner brings us a picture and it has things on it that we're like, oh my gosh, I don't like those pictures. I don't like what my partner has drawn here for me. There's certainly something to be said about noticing where that's uncomfortable for us. But I think a lot of times our partner hasn't asked us for our thoughts on their picture, and we just are basically projecting our uncomfortable feelings to them. And so I'm only cautioning people to, it's very normal to do this. It's very normal behavior to presume to know what's better because you have an idea of what you think would be better. And perhaps it is better. But what I'm trying to say is that approaching it in a way of like, I feel like when we're doing these things, I feel like this way would be better. What do you think? That might be better than saying, here are all the problems, and I think we should do this to fix those problems. Framing it as a problem in itself is going to feel bad with the partner. It's going to feel bad because it's going to cause them to feel some degree of shame. If they're not fully balanced already, they're going to feel some degree of shame around their expression. Especially if you're like, if you're saying, a lot of different mild criticisms, even they don't have to be huge. The partner, it doesn't matter how big they are, really. The partner's just being like, wow, like I can't just be myself here, is basically what it feels like. So, I think that it's important to know the relationships, the guy, there is a harmony being met with the relationship, but the human self that feels it needs to know, it knows the best way to make it better, doesn't, and they don't know that, and it just becomes a lesson in acceptance, and also in sort of forgiveness as well, because our partners can do things that really hurt us without even being aware that they've had any idea. Like, they'll do stuff that they have no concept of how deep it's hurt us.
Yeah. And I think what's really interesting in part of what you're expressing is we tend to act in ways that are okay for us. I think most people are not intending to act in hurtful ways towards others. So you bring up this point that for you, it can feel very uncomfortable to receive what you think of as criticism. For me, I welcome any type of feedback. I prefer it to be in a loving way, but the content, I welcome any type of feedback about anything that's difficult for you with me or anyone else. I welcome that. It doesn't hurt me. I don't know exactly why. I think I don't carry a lot of shame maybe around myself. I'm not sure. I don't know exactly why, but it doesn't bother me. It doesn't bother me. In fact, I welcome it. I love it, because I only want more harmony with people. That's what I want. I want harmony. So I'm so happy when you share with me anything that's difficult for you in how we interact. Of course, I prefer it to be in a gentle, kind manner, but the content, you can tell me anything. And I don't see it as criticism. I see it as feedback. I see it as, oh, in interacting with you, this is hard for you. I'm sure there's some shifting there. So I think the point you make is, it is certainly very helpful to understand your partner and what maybe are things that are very hard for them, that maybe are triggering for them, maybe because they carry some stuff in them that hasn't been fully integrated. So, what I hear you saying is, yeah, let's harmonize, but Tassel, if you approach me in this way, it's a lot easier for me.
I wouldn't say I'm saying that. I'm trying to say do whatever you want. I'm trying to say approach however you feel you wish to approach. Say whatever you feel like saying. That it's my responsibility to be okay, regardless. That's my point. And so I wouldn't seek to adjust anything.
Okay, I think for me, just the guidance that comes through for me on this topic is, to me, I think we can do all of that. I think there's a humanity and a kindness in meeting our partners where they are, that we don't have to make things harder. We can trust that they're on their path of however they're going to expand or not expand. But this is a big thing that I hold, to meet people where they are and to be with them where they are. And it's not my responsibility to push them forward. So I want to be with people where they are and accept where they are. And if I can shift the way that I do things a bit, that's more harmonious for them at that point, and it doesn't infringe on my own truth or principles, then I want to do that. That's my orientation on it.
That's kind of my point, though, is that we will do what we feel is best, always. So what is there to talk about? Can't we just presume that the other is a divine guide for us? Can't we just presume that? Can't we just wait? If somebody asks for feedback, then we give them feedback. If somebody is not calling you to ask for it, then I accept whatever. I'm not telling anyone to do anything be anyway. I'm just trying to notice that some of the feelings of judgment that arise, and I'm expressing how to deal with that. So I was saying to let them judge you. It's fine. It doesn't matter. Then also to hear what they're saying and to discern for yourself what to do. So I'm saying the same thing that you are. I'm just offering the question to people of, do you need to correct their behavior, or can you just let them be as they are? It's up to you.
Yeah, so this, I think, it's a very interesting topic. And before the stream, I was sharing that what has come in for me is that when we are asking someone to accept something that is challenging for them, we are asking them to change. So the whole point for me is...
Sorry, before you continue, are you able to, I'm not sure that I follow that statement so much. I just wanted to, can you get more into what you mean by that? So if I were to say, let's say I do something, I don't know, that you don't like, I don't know, I do something unhealthy, or I eat an unhealthy food, or let's say meat. Let's say because I do eat meat, and you didn't want that, and being with me was really uncomfortable somehow. Uh, and I want you to accept that I eat meat, and you're constantly going like, shouldn't do that, blah blah blah, whatever. And I'm not nothing against people that are vegan and all these other things. There's nothing against that. I think everyone's beliefs are their own. I don't have a stance on it at all. I don't have a stance on it. So other than diet is an individual's choice. There are certainly lessons in morality and ethics and spiritual lessons there if one seeks them. So by all means pursue that. But if I want to be accepted as a carnivore, let's say, which actually I feel like I'll probably move to veganism, just to put that out there, I probably will let go of meat. I feel that happening in the body a bit. I'm primarily eating soup right now, generally mushroom soups. And like stuff like that. But anyways, if I wanted if I wanted you to accept me as a meat eater, and you were having trouble with that, I'm asking you to change. Is that what you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So I don't really see time. Time's confusing for me. Like if I'm like, I'm going to be 10 minutes, maybe I will, I don't know what's going on. I don't see time really. So it's really hard for me to like stay on top of times and dates and things.
Yeah. So we just orient towards time differently. And it has felt like you have asked me to accept your orientation around time. And I have tried to do so, but that has meant I have had to change. I have had to be uncomfortable and try to shift. So the point I'm trying to make is when two different people, everyone's different, come together in relationship, there's going to be some shifting. And of course, we want to accept each other as we are right now, 100%. There may never be any more expansions or shifts. And my orientation is I accept you completely as you are right now. And I accept myself completely as I am right now. And my only point was in things where there are some different orientations and there could be just some stress around that. If we're saying to someone, please accept me as I am around time, there's implicit in that you need to change. You or maybe not need, but to me, at least, if I'm going to accept your orientation around time because it affects me, it's meaning that I have to change. And I'm not saying I won't, but I'm saying when we say to someone, please accept me as I am, we are also basically saying, please change. You change to accept me.
I see it a little differently. Interesting. Okay. Yeah. So go ahead. Continue. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
So I'm just making the point that to me, at least, I'm always trying to discern where is the expansion and sort of what is the highest and best route here, and sort of balancing that. I don't think it's probably that one person just accepts everything of the other person and does all the changing. My hunch is that it's a bit back and forth, that there's expansions and acceptances on each side, that's the partnership. The partnership is for each person, most likely, to expand and accept and grow together, because that's the point of the relationship, is for the expansion. So to me, I just thought it was like an interesting point to me, like when you ask someone to accept something that's challenging for them, you are asking them to change.
I see it differently. I just like to offer both perspectives. I think ultimately they are very similar. But just the way that I would phrase it, I think, is a little different. So I would just say that when somebody asks to be accepted, they're calling for forgiveness. They're calling for help. It's a call for help. When somebody's asking to be accepted by another, They're saying, I am in pain because you haven't forgiven me. I don't feel forgiven in this area. So when they're looking for acceptance, they're looking not for you to accept them. They're asking you to accept yourself. So whether they know that or not is not important, but that's, you can't accept, you're only here, you're alone here. So there's no one to accept other than yourself. The the um the idea of that they are changing us implies that, like, to me anyways, it just implies that I time, so the reason I don't see time is because time isn't real. So in order for you to be able to meet me where I'm at with how I see time, you have to realize time isn't real. You don't have to do any of that. I don't mean you have to. I just mean, in order for you to see time the way I do, you would have to experience nonlinear reality first, to enough of a degree that you can let go of time. So, in one sense, if I say, time's not real, can you try to accept me around this? You're invited to either pursue the unreality of time and accept that in yourself, or you're invited to pursue the idea of, my partner doesn't see time, and accept that in yourself, or to resist that. Like, that's really all that's happening. Either, like, you're okay that your partner doesn't see time, or you're not. And if you're not okay with it, it's because you are clinging to some structure around time, or around an illusory structure that your partner isn't in. Like, so we've talked about plugging and unplugging from the matrix. There's matrices and these systems, financial systems, whatever they are, these systems of the ego that have been built. Time is one of those, but time is more of a natural thing. Well, I don't want to call it natural, but anyway, it's I don't see it as anyone's changing. I see it as, the other person, clearly, if they're asking to be accepted, they're desperate. They're desperate because they're feeling unaccepted. Otherwise, they wouldn't ask, right? So something has occurred to cause them to feel that, probably just within them. Who knows if they were accepted or not? It's not super important, but they feel unaccepted. So it's just, I think it's just an opportunity to accept ourselves, and to basically be okay that I'm uncomfortable with what the person's doing. Like, if Tassel was really stuck on time, like, basically I'm okay that I accept that Tassel is still, like, sort of in the time world. Like, it is what I'm trying to say. There's no change to happen. I would never tell her that she should not participate in time, or shouldn't, whatever. I will say that not participating in time is very freeing, but that's not to tell her to do anything, or to change, or to whatever. I accept that she is as she is. And so if I were calling for acceptance in an area, I'm asking for just peace around that area. That's what I would be doing. So yes, there's some change, but I see it just as expansion. I see it as expansion. And you mentioned as well that there's two people, and it's one person just expands to, like, meet the other. That doesn't seem right. No, of course not. There's no idling. Like, you're always expanding. It doesn't matter if you talk about it or don't talk about it, whatever, you're just going to keep expanding. And so what I'm saying is that the part of us that feels that we have to, like, tell everyone, each other, how to be, is I think misguided. But I don't think that we have to do that so much. I think we can trust the universe, trust ourselves, trust each other, that we will know what's best for us, and that it's not really our responsibility to tell each other what to do, or how to be.
Yes, absolutely. It's not our responsibility to tell each other what to do or how to be. At the same time, we are acting together, and we're trying to do things together. So there's a harmonizing that is part of the relationship. And when two people have a very different orientation around anything like time or like money, then there's a call, the relationship is calling for a harmonization. And most likely there will be some shifts on each person's part to accommodate the different orientation. And I just want to say, like, of course we accept each other, but how we actually interact with each other in real life is where the harmonization is being called for. And for me, I don't necessarily believe that I'm supposed to see time differently than I do. I believe it's perfect how I see time. That's perfect for my soul's journey in this incarnation. And how you see time is perfect for you. I don't see a hierarchy there for me.
That's my point. That was my point.
Yeah. So then it's just like, well, how do we come together and deal with time from these different orientations? And if
we just be okay with how each deals with it. I can't deal with a system that doesn't exist.
So the way I see it is to look for harmony. How can we harmonize with each other's view of time, to not ask one person to abandon their orientation of time, but how do we harmonize? That's the way I see it.
But that's not what's been asked in what I was positioning. I wasn't suggesting that you abandon anything or change anything. That's why I was saying that the changing thing is a little bit challenging for me, because there's nothing to change. I don't have to see time the way you do. You don't have to see it the way I do. It's okay how it is.
Absolutely.
So there's nothing to talk about is basically what I'm getting at. They're like, I get frustrated if somebody's like, you're not on time. That's hard for me. They get frustrated that I'm not on time or whatever it is. Both of us can just be okay that I'm how I am and they're how they are. They're rigid in time and I'm not. And I will be where I am when I get there. There's nothing to harmonize with. I see what you're saying. The human feels like it needs to reconcile this, but we don't have to agree. We don't have to agree on how we view something. I can't adopt.
I'm not saying we have to agree on anything. I'm just saying to interact with each other peacefully and in harmony, there has to be some harmonization of how we behave. We don't have to agree on anything. I'm just saying the relationship is guiding us to harmony. So it's probably calling for each of us to just be aware of the other person's orientation so that there can be peace.
Right. And what I'm trying to say is that in this particular example is that the orientation around rigidity and time isn't an orientation that I am able to see. So I'm not able to adhere to it in any way, which would bring any harmony. There's nothing I can do to help someone who is rigid in time feel better about when I arrive, don't arrive, whatever it is. I can't assist them in that because I'll be where I am when I'm there. And there's nothing else to me to do. I can't do anything else other than be where I am. So the harmony has to, like, I'm never complaining about how you see time, for example. I'm never telling you whatever. It's in this particular area of our relationship, it makes no difference to me how you see time. Like you said, you see it how you see it, and it's perfect for you. It doesn't make a difference to me. What makes a difference to me is if I'm being sort of criticized for my view. That makes a difference, because then I'm like, I'm not able to address it. There's nothing I can do about it. I don't see that system. So there's no action I can take to harmonize. There's no frameworks I can believe to harmonize. The system doesn't exist. So there's nothing I can do about it. The person will be upset with me until they're not. It's just the way it will be. And there's nothing if there's something I can do. I've thought about this for a lot. Like, I've spent lots of my life wondering about time. Anyway, so there's nothing to do. It's like trying to get, like, we talk about money, trying to get me to like agree with certain things in money just isn't, I just can't see them. So I can't, I could pretend if that's what we want, but we don't want that. I don't think we don't want me pretending. And
Yeah, we're
right.
not talking at all
So,
about trying to change someone's
but we
orientation.
can't, what I'm trying to say is there are systems that our partners may still be participating in that we are not, that they may try to want us to be a part of, and we don't have to be. And they have to be okay with that. I don't know what else
Yeah,
to say.
I think we hold respect for each other's orientations for exactly how they are right now. And to me, without any hierarchy, I don't see a hierarchy about it. Everything is perfect for that person's path. To me, we hold respect for each other's orientation. And then in our actual interactions as a couple, we strive for harmony, however that ends up being.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And I would just say that the reason that all of this I think is coming up is because I'm trying to say that harmony is not criticizing your partner. It's not harmonious, I would say. Unless they ask you for your feedback, they want to know, how can I do this better? How can I do time better? And you say set an alarm, and then I say setting alarms doesn't do anything. So
Yeah,
like,
I don't think we
um,
want to criticize each other. We want to harmonize with each other.
and
And
harmony's just acceptance of ourselves. So that's what I see anyway, and it's okay. I just I've been thinking a lot about this topic, and it's uh, I've had my own challenges with it, so I'm just voicing that, I guess.
yeah, I think it's like it's a really it's a big leap to go from being an individual to being in a partnership. It is a very, and a lot of it is really uncomfortable. um, to me, that's part of what I see coming up here is, okay, I'm this way on my own, and now I'm in a partnership, and how do we have peace in the partnership? So yeah, I think it's a big journey for everybody. Um, so we're at like an hour and 20 minutes. Do we want to keep going or?
Um, yeah, sure. Well, we can. I don't know. We actually we should probably close it off now. Otherwise,
Do
we'll
you want to
talk.
hit? Okay.
Okay, we can
Do
hit.
you want to hit like maybe one last point?
Sure.
Um, do you want to talk about unity consciousness?
Not at the end here.
Oh, okay,
That
okay,
it's
because
like
it's
I
a
think
larger
that's like a
topic.
whole video, honestly. But
Okay, okay. Um, well, maybe I could just bring in one of these extra points that I
sure.
talked about. That there will be cultural differences in your relationship, and that's I think what we're talking about here with time or money or other things. There, I have tended to think of cultural differences as, oh, my partner is French and I'm South American or something. And, there's just, we grew up differently and we have different ways of doing things. But I'm just opening up this word culture to mean just really like just the way you are, the way you think about things, the way you approach things in general, to me, is your culture. And as we just talked about, you and I have some different cultural or orientations around different things. And so the way I see it is the part of the journey of the twin flame divine union is, how can you make peace with cultural differences? How do you do that? How do you sort of transcend the duality of that? And I think it starts by like non-judgment. I respect my partner's orientation just as I respect my own. There is no right or wrong here. And how do we make it work? So and this is just to me a beautiful template of why I see the divine union as so sacred to the whole planet and the multiverse, is that we're just a microcosm, right, of countries that have differences and maybe don't know how to have peace. When two people who have some different ways of being can come to peace with each other and themselves, then that's a beautiful template for the world of how we can all come together, even with our differences, and interact peacefully.
Yeah. 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 I'd like to just like expand on that even a little to like, we all have, there are many soul origins that are here. Then there are other soul origins that are within the planetary system, the solar system we're in. And then there are other origins, soul origins that are other places. So not only do we have like cultural bias of this life, we have soul bias of all of our other past lives. We have bias of our collectives that we've come from that we've probably mostly forgotten about. If we're an older soul, we're going to have more of that bias. We're also going to have remembrances of lessons that we've learned through our graduation of multiple densities. And we're going to have remembrances of those in varying degrees, varying expansions. For example, when we just talked about time, I recalled that time wasn't real and began to just not see it. I recalled that because I'm from a place where time didn't exist. And all of us are from that place. But not all of us remember solving time. So not all of us will remember at a soul level solving the time paradox. And the time paradox resolves in unity. And so what happens is that in one person or another person, they're going to have whatever they're doing and their biases, and like Tassel said, cultural. They are. It's basically, yeah, it's like a cultural or environmental stimuli that's sort of built and built and built over millions of years, right? Like millions of years. So to basically have any sort of like, oh, they're not okay the way they are, and like Tassel said, non-judgment is the way to be okay with that. Like they're not just formed from their generation or their country they're in or whatever race they seem to be this time. These things are superficial, and it actually goes so much deeper than that. And yeah, so we have to kind of respect that there are beings here that are from dimensions we've never heard of or seen. So it's and some of the weirdest souls around have come here for the harvest. So you're gonna see some wacky characters show up doing wacky stuff, and it's gonna be really fun and interesting when all the miracles start to really open up and pop, because we have so much diversity here. Not about race, soul diversity. We have soul diversity here. So it's and that's why we feel in our bones that the right way to have a harmonious culture and system and society is through diversity and acceptance of diverse people, because we all know deep down that each of us is very unique and diverse from all of its other soul counterparts in a way. And yeah, so.
And the beautiful thing is, so for instance, if Sean and I were exactly the same in every way, there would be zero growth. Zero. Oh, there's no triggers. Oh, there's no stress. Oh, there's nothing. Oh, well, there's not going to be any growth either. So the invitation is with your twin flame or any relationship you have, to, of course, honor, accept, love yourself, honor, accept, love the other person. And where is this relationship leading us? Where is the possible expansion, shift, new awareness for each of us in the relationship? That is the beauty of any relationship, is the the fun and the growth.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
All right, should we stop there?
Yeah, yeah, I think so. The chat seems to have glitched out, so I don't know what people said. I think I saw some good mornings. So good morning, Jamie and Joe. Thank you guys for watching. Thanks everyone else for watching. We appreciate you.
Yeah, and tomorrow, Thursday, March 31st at 8 p.m. Eastern, we have a really amazing Twin Flame Divine Union gathering on Zoom. There is a link in the episode description to register for the gathering. We had a wonderful time a couple weeks ago when we did this, and it's going to be great tomorrow night. We would love to meet you in person and just talk about the Twin Flame journey and what maybe any challenges, any questions you have. That's what we did the last time. We just kind of fielded a lot of questions, and I think it was really helpful.
Yeah, yeah, it'll be fun. It'll be a lot of fun, and it's possible I might not be able to make it. I've got some family stuff going on, but I'm gonna really try because I'd like to be there. So we'll see what I can do. But I just wanted to put that out there. I'm gonna try and be there. I'd like to be there, and hopefully I can be there. So thank you, everyone. Appreciate you very much.
Thank you so much, love to everybody.
Bye.